My name is Jessica Lumatwaima, and I'm from the village of Hopevela out on the Hopi Reservation. For me, this is an awesome place to be closer to um, our history. Um, and just sometimes I think about the people that came up and what they were experiencing and what they saw. Because the very first time I came here, it was like, oh man, so beautiful. Was it like that, or was it even more dense? Um, the forest and the animals. So it's. Uh, I'm glad to be here, just a little bit closer. Even though when I'm at home, my mind comes wandering this way, just because being involved with uh, the culture, with the village, there's just a lot of meaning. Just the colors in my baskets. I used to think, a long time ago, that it's just color, but it's not. There's meaning behind everything that we do. Um, like the basket that I'm doing, it's a privilege to do this. You have to go through your childhood initiation, then you've earned that privilege to start, certain traditional arts and textiles. So it's all a learning thing. Everything is learning. I'm still learning. The way I grew up was, I grew up with my grandmother, and she was really not involved because she was one of the children that were sent away to school and wasn't allowed to come home till she graduated 8th grade. And her parents had already passed. She had an older sister yet living in Hopevela, and another one that moved to the village of Munkapi. And so she ended up moving to Munkapi and just always worked and worked and worked. And yes, we visited family at Hopevela and saw dances and stuff, but she just wasn't involved. And I was made fun of by some families and some kids. Oh, don't you know that? Don't you know we do this? And you know, um, so that's been my longing desire to know the culture. And it wasn't till way later that I had a family that I really became involved, uh, moving back to Hopevela and just participating and just understanding what everything is. I'm still learning. I'm grateful. I know what I know, and I try to pass it on to my children so that they don't grow up in the sense like I did, not knowing, certain things.
So my name's Leanne Jake Shearer. I'm from the Kaivab Paiute tribe. I'm working on my daughter Ayavi, her rabbit blanket. So it just kind of grows with you. And last time I worked on it, she was about 5. So, well, the rabbit blanket was the one item that everybody had, and so you didn't have a whole lot of possession that you would take with you. So you can imagine if you were well, we're a family of 5, and you have burden baskets, and your whole life has to fit into that burden basket, and that's one item that everybody took with them. So, but you can sit on it when it's hot like this. You could sit on it, for a nice, comfortable spot. You know, when it gets cold, you wrap up in it because it is a blanket. We have a bark skirt. It's made out of cliff rose. And it's one of our traditional skirts. You know, before the introduction of the Euro-Americans, you know, the naked body wasn't a shameful thing. You know, so you would find on really hot summer days, you'd find most people naked. You know, or women just wearing a bark skirt or a buckskin skirt that was stripped, and that's all you needed. You know, hot and arid out here. You didn't need a whole lot of clothing. With the introduction of the pioneers, that's when the cast-off clothing came. Yeah, so, but this is the only rabbit blanket that I know of that you will find outside of a museum. Most people, when they passed away, were buried with their rabbit blankets, so it wasn't something that was handed down. And even today, you know, it's very rare to find rabbit blankets. My family is fortunate enough that my mom has passed that down to us and has taught us, and I'm teaching my girls. In the older days, we got the rabbit pelts when we did rabbit drives. And back then, you know, the rabbits were abundant, so. And people were also smaller too back then, you know, not as heavy as we are today. So it didn't take as many rabbit pelts, you know. So that I read once that it took about 100 pelts to do an adult-sized robe. I don't believe that. This is going to be about 175. So.
My name's Marcia Martin. In 1993 I was a volunteer, and in 93 I started working as a seasonal ranger on the North Rim. And I went to a program in Sedona. They were doing a lot about the Native Americans in this area. And the government and Park Service was starting to repatriate the you know, artifacts, and I thought, well, it'd be a really great thing to honor the Native Americans who came to the North Rim. It was part of their heritage. It was part of especially the local people. The Paiutes that live near me right now, near Kanab, Utah, in southern Utah and northern Arizona, there's several Paiute reservations. But at any rate, so the first year we invited the Paiutes to come up and present some programs about their connection to the North Rim. And it just mushroomed from there. So, so eventually after 5 years we included all the Native tribes around the Grand Canyon. And so it's still going on, I guess, in 2022, and I'm really, really pleased that that's happening. Yeah, it's really an honor. I always felt it was the right time, the right place. Not everything always works, you know, but this seemed to hit a real nerve, and people wanted to know. I mean, we had a lot of different tribes coming and presenting wonderful programs.